Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. Super excited to talk to all of you about optimizing your G2 profile. We've got just a short presentation. We'll take about 15 minutes to do quick intro 101 on optimizing your profile. But we really want these sessions to be a conversation. So to start off, I'll introduce myself. My name is Caitlin Hess. I am the Director of Customer Marketing here at G2. Prior to joining G2, I was a two-time G2 customer. And so when they asked if I would present on this topic, I was like, I'm not really an expert on optimizing my profile. I've done it before. And then I thought, well, how did I do it before? And the answer was with the help of my awesome G2 CSM. So I slacked Lauren and I said, hey, want to do a presentation with me since you're really the expert. Everything I learned from her. So super excited to introduce Lauren McGrath as well. Lauren, do you want to give a quick intro of yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the delightful introduction. Like I mentioned in the chat, I sit in Chicago, Illinois. I've always been a really client-facing in my career, and that's continued at G2. Really looking forward to talking through any questions you guys have about optimizing your profile, the elements that you have available to you, whether you're a free G2 user or you have an upgraded customer profile.
Awesome. So to get started, quick intro on just what are G2 office hours. As I mentioned, we want these to be really conversational. We feel like the best way for customers to learn is from each other. And so we'll kick this off with an intro, but again, we really want this to be a conversation. So as we go, if you have questions, feel free to drop those in the chat. Raise your hand, we'll call on you, come off mute. Again, this is a small group, so really want this to be conversational. If you have any follow-up questions, Lauren and I will drop our emails in the chat at the end. Feel free to reach out to us or anyone on your G2 account team. And then we'll also share a recording of this session. And you can see the recordings of all of our previous sessions at G2 University, and I'll drop that link in the chat as well. But today's topic, we're going to talk about G2 traffic and buyer trust, how to optimize your profile, as Lauren mentioned, whether it's a free or an upgraded profile, and then how to best work with your G2 counterparts to make sure that you're successful and we're successful. So with that, I'm going to turn that over to Lauren to kick us off.
Thank you. This is a phrase I think maybe some of you have heard before, because G2 ranks our competitors in terms of outranks our competitors in terms of traffic, and our SEO is really driving visitors looking for software reviews to our site and hopefully your product profile. It's not really a matter of if your prospects and your customers are finding your G2 profile, it's when. B2B buyers are looking for content like reviews to inform their buying decisions. And that is what we will look at in our next slide. What matters most to B2B buyers is that, research shows B2B buyers are doing their own research online. When they're looking for a solution, they're actively finding brands that answer their questions, answer to their solutions and challenges, and then they're reaching out when they're ready. And what are they looking for? This data really shows that peer experiences and product ratings and reviews are the top of the list. And those trends really go beyond the purchase of a new product or solution. So G2's 2021 software buyer behavior report shows actually that 60% of buyers across segments always are conducting research and they're considering alternatives when a tool that they're using now is up for renewal. So maybe your customers are coming to G2 to leave you a review, but it's possible that they're also reading reviews from their peers. Current customers are using reviews and those of your competitors to make decisions about their renewal. And that leads us directly to this next statistic. Trust sources have really evolved in B2B buying. Only 4% of buyers trust traditional market research firms and analysts, and only 38% of buyers consider the vendor's website the most trustworthy resource, while B2B buyers are relying on peers. So 86% of software buyers across segments are using peer review sites when they're buying software. This doesn't change much by segment. 85% of enterprise buyers are citing that peer review sites are being used when they're buying software. And often peer review sites are used kind of earlier in the buying cycle, and then again later to validate their buying, the decision that's been made in the end. With 60% of people surveyed saying that they feel more confident when they used peer reviews in terms of making their decision. G2 is really where all of those buyers, many of those buyers are going when they're looking for software. With about 7 million monthly visitors, we've got 120,000 plus products, 2,000 plus categories that really help identify the area, the solution that you want to go down the rabbit hole and look for, and 1.6 million peer reviews to source from. Like we mentioned a few slides ago, it's not a matter of if, it's really a matter of when, and these traffic numbers really validate that. Traffic insights also show significant differences between the time on the page, profile views, and total reviews on G2 for free profiles versus upgraded profiles. There's a really significant difference here. We see this bar graph illustrates a free profile in that orange bar and an upgraded profile on that purple bar. So we see the really drastic difference in views in the time on the page. And that actually in turn really impacts the volume of buyer intent signals that a profile is getting, but that's not really what we're here to talk about today. We want to talk about how to make the most of both your free profile and your upgraded G2 profile. And I just felt like this was pretty compelling data to really paint the picture of why there's value to an upgraded profile and maintaining your G2 profile at the level that you're comfortable with. So, positioning your G2 profile for success, whether you're a free or upgraded user. That means whether you're established with G2, it's important to note that your product just existing on G2 isn't really enough to drive traffic and generate reviews inherently. You really have to buckle down and make a little bit of effort, and you can work with us or independently to do so. Being here is a really good first step. Claiming your profile on G2 is the number one thing you want to do if you haven't yet. You can use G2's intercom tool to reach out for support at the link in the chat to start this process, or you can use just our G2 support portal, which Caitlin is going to drop into the chat for us here, so you guys can jump on that. And she's also going to drop another link. If your product isn't on G2 for some reason, you can petition to add it so that g2.com products new is going to be the resource that you use if you need to add a product to G2. And whether you have access to that profile right now or not, I actually recommend using your browser and pulling up your G2 product profile so you can follow along as we walk through the elements, because then you'll be able to kind of note where you have access, where you can return to really fill out and take advantage of what I like to call the real estate that you have. So after you claim your profile page, the next thing you want to do is gather the experts on your team. And that's going to be experts in brand and experts in product. For experts in brand, that's maybe a marketing director, a brand director, and they can help you to name your product on G2 accurately, update your current logo, including a grid logo, and screenshots of your product. You really want prospects to be able to see what your product looks like. And there's a space to do that on your G2 profile. And then experts on product, which is maybe a product marketing manager, maybe it's a technical writer. Those folks can come in handy when you're filling out your product description, the features and functionality elements of your profile, and category placement. And I'll talk more about category placement. If your product is live on G2 today, it's likely listed in at least one category. However, there's maybe more categories that your product is qualified to live in. Maybe that category is not quite right. You can return to that support link if you want to have a conversation with our research team about categorizing your product accurately. All G2 category pages include qualifications, and it's really important to review those prior to requesting any changes. A lot of people have questions about this, so we can definitely revisit more in the Q&A portion. One recommendation I have, though, is to open up maybe your top competitor who you go head to head with really frequently. Open up their G2 profile. Take a look at where they're positioned in terms of the category and use that as a basis to see if you can match up with them. And if you're already a G2 customer, obviously you can take advantage of your account team to make any changes or to have a larger conversation about a category audit for your profile. The anatomy of the G2 profile. I just wanted to lay this out so we can take a glance. I'm going to talk through these a few of these elements, these kind of bigger elements more specifically, but I assume everyone here has seen your G2 profile, and so you can have a pretty informed vision of the elements that we're going to talk through in the next slide. So starting at the top, so like I mentioned, I hope you have your product profile pulled up on maybe another browser, your other monitor. You'll see at the top level that your call to action button is the first place we'll start with an upgraded G2 profile. These elements that I have listed here are for an upgraded G2 profile, the simplest quick wins to take advantage of the G2 real estate that you have. And most of these are kind of elements of your curb appeal. So we'll start with one CTA button. Every G2 profile has one, but with an upgrade, you get a second one. And we often recommend a free trial here, or if you have a demo that you can link to through a landing page, those are really good options as well. When we look at the banner and media, the banner is the first thing that a prospect or a customer is going to see when they land on your G2 profile. These can be animated, they can be a GIF, they can actually link to a video if you have a video you'd like to share of your values statement or your maybe a really quick product demo. You can link that right there in your banner, and that will allow prospects, really give them some content to consume so they stay on your page and they continue clicking through the rest of these elements that we're going to talk through. The banner really can be a bit of your personality. Like I said, it can be animated, and you can just anything to be really visually engaging is the best use of that space. I like to note too that you can change your banner as often as you want, and you can change your CTA buttons as often as you want. So if you have an event upcoming or a webinar coming up that you think is really relevant and you really want to drive signups for, you can use your banner to promote those one-off events or use your CTA to drive registration. And then when we talk about additional media, which is lumped together with the banner, that's going to include demo videos, white papers, and then screenshots of your product. So you can have multiple elements of each of those kind of buckets, and you should really use this space to create interest with compelling information, compelling case studies and white papers that will keep prospects on your page doing research. And they can be gated too, so they can actually drive some leads if the folks on your page find them interesting. The next element here is user-generated content. That consists of reviews that you're gathering from your customers on G2. We mentioned the priority that peer reviews get when there are software buyers doing research, and these are the testimonials that inform your prospects, they're informing your customers as they're making buying decisions. More review volume impacts SEO for Google, and it impacts your ranking on G2. So your placement in the grids, if you're familiar with that. You can engage with reviews, which we really recommend as well. That's additional user-generated content, keywords, long tail, terms that you can answer to any reviewers that maybe they posed a question, maybe they had a complaint, and you can really engage with them to show prospects how you treat your customers and let your customers know that you're listening to them. It's a really valuable opportunity that you have to engage and show the engagement that you have with your customers. And even if you're using a free G2 profile, you can still drive traffic to your profile page and encourage customers to leave reviews by linking just directly to your G2 profile in places like your website or in one-to-one conversations, follow-ups that you're having with your customers. And the next element is your G2 account support. You don't have to do this alone. If your product is real estate, your G2 account team is a really handy neighbor. We're working on new projects all the time, new features and elements of the profile, of driving reviews, integrations, and we really want to share all of that with our customers. So for all market segments, G2 customers have both a relationship manager for your account and a customer success manager, like myself. And we're really here to help, and we'll set up regular cadence of meetings. We're available on email to answer any one-off questions that you have and to help set up review campaigns. We just really want you to make the most of your partnership with us, so we're available to you. Then there's a few more things that you can do to really go above and beyond with your profile. And these are elements your account team can really help with. The first one being to integrate with tools that you're already using. Maybe those are customer engagement tools like Pendo or Medallia, maybe ABM tools like Metadata and Rollworks. Even using things as simple as webhooks to drive any leads coming through your G2 profile directly into the tools you're already using, like HubSpot. You can browse all partners we integrate with at the Partner Hub, and that will really give you insights into all of the resources that we integrate with. And then next month, we will actually have another, or maybe it's later this month, we have another office hours to talk more about the Partner Hub. So if that really piques your interest, you can join us again for that conversation. Tracking is another above and beyond element of your profile. So that means using UTMs on any of your CTA buttons on G2 to source activity and referral traffic from G2. And then we also have a tool called Track Your Prospects that allows you to utilize pixel tag with things like Google Analytics and even identify some accounts as they move between your website and your G2 profile. And using these metrics can really measure G2's influence, that referral traffic, and that will help you understand both the buyer journey and spell out G2's ROI for you and your team. Then the last element I want to talk through is repurposing content. This could be a whole other office hours. I think it might actually be another office hours. You can refer to the Learn Hub, but it's really important to, once you gather reviews, use them. You can share quotes from customer reviews in places like landing pages, on a customer section in your profile. You can mention them in blog posts, use them in socials, and really any marketing campaigns at all. Even using G2 content like badges has been shown to significantly increase conversion rates on landing pages, which I think is a wild stat, and it's really fun because it's such an easy, quick win. You have those resources available to you in your G2 marketing content profile or portal. So it's really a quick win for everyone. That leads us to discussion time. So I will take a peek at the chat, but would really love to hear any questions and open up the floor to everyone that's here with us today.
don't think we've had any questions come through, but if anyone wants to drop anything in the chat, or feel free to raise your hand, come off mute. Like I mentioned earlier, we really want this to be a discussion. But I guess, Lauren, one question I have for you is, as we're thinking about setting up a profile, you talked about some of those resources. What types of resources do you recommend people put in there? Are there anything that you've seen, or things you've seen from your customers that have been creative or innovative, anything like that?
Do you mean things like media, like attachments?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. I mentioned a couple. Resources definitely include white papers. If you have something that really sets you apart, maybe an ebook that includes data about why you outrank your competitors, those tools can often function really well on G2 because the competitors are very present on your G2 profile. So having any data, white papers, or case studies that show how you outrank competitors are always really helpful. Those are really the top tier ones, I would say, in terms of resources and media to add to your profile.
Awesome. Does anyone in the audience want to come on and talk about some of the resources you might use in your profile?
I would love to hear that.
Yeah. I know I can speak from, my own experience on the other side, being a G2 customer. We were always really thoughtful about what we included. And I love the idea of content that talks about, where you rank against your competitor. One of our other pieces that we always made sure we included, we had a buyer's guide for CRM and higher education, because we were a higher ed CRM. And for us, that was a great piece of content to put on there. They might not have downloaded our or filled out the request a demo form, but once they downloaded that asset, we knew that they were actively shopping and that we were in consideration. And it was, I think, probably our highest converting asset that we ever put on our G2 profile. And it was really great to see, because that people who are going to G2 and comparing you to competitors are also shopping for CRM. So it was like we served up that next step for them right away. So that's one thing that I've seen work really well. I guess, like, from here, actually, we have a couple questions that came through. Someone asked, what are the applications that integrate? And I see Gina dropped in our partner hub. As Lauren mentioned, we're also dedicating next month's office hours specifically to integrations. So be sure to register for that one. One actually says, do you know which resources get the most engagement on average, a white paper versus a video, or is it really variable depending on your product? Do you have any insight here, Lauren?
I would say typically like a white paper would get more engagement. What a lot of our customers do is actually leave their videos on their G2 profile ungated, because it's pretty unlikely that your videos are gated on your website in most cases. Maybe you have a really intense Q&A or a webinar. I mean, a video on G2 wouldn't be a webinar. There is a size limit, but a shorter video, that's what the format is kind of set out for in your G2 product profile. So a lot of our customers leave those ungated. So I would say that conversions are probably higher, or leads and engagement is higher on those white papers.
Awesome. One question here, any tips on how to get companies to do a review when they are not able to take incentives? For example, a gift card for a review. I've got some thoughts, but would love to hear yours too, Lauren.
Yeah, I can start off. For upgraded G2 users or customers, we have G2 Gives, which is a charitable donation that a reviewer could unlock essentially when they leave a review. So we can put together G2 Gives campaigns for customers. And the other option is, my other recommendation is really utilizing the relationships, the one-to-one relationships that you have with your customers to activate the ask. In part of the customer lifecycle that's, already happening. If you're doing an EDR and it goes really great, include a review ask in that follow-up. And you can, you've shown your value through that EDR to your customer. So hopefully they'll feel inclined to respond in kind by leaving a review for you without any kind of incentive. That's a really great question that we hear a lot. So it's kind of, there's so many ways to get creative in terms of activating customers when they can't leave, when they can't take incentives. We have some other tools like in-app review asks, in using client or product engagement tools like Pendo and Medallia to ask in-app, where the review form is slightly shorter. And so the review is not incentivized actually when you're using those levers. So that can be a workaround too. Caitlin, what would you say?
It's funny because I would have said the exact same thing, but I guess full circle, everything I know I learned from you. But this is something that came up for us a lot at my last company, especially as we were reaching out to our customers in EMEA and other European countries. They have a lot of very specific guidelines around what they can accept as a customer. So we use the G2 Gives campaign. We also leaned really heavily on our customer success and account managers to do one-to-one asks. And I love what you said about asking specifically around a great business review. We also looked at other opportunities to ask for reviews, like, did they just sign a renewal? So we know that, they're really actively engaged with us. I would also reach out to our customers who took our certifications. So they're obviously highly engaged if they're willing to get certified on our products. And so we would ask them, it would be a one-to-one ask from me in marketing, just saying, hey, you're one of our top users. We'd love to get your feedback. And really thinking about, like, what are the other incentives of leaving a review and trying to put that front and center. So you're helping your industry, you're helping your peers in the space. And a lot of people are motivated by that. We've also done, and I know this toes the line too, campaigns for swag. So maybe they can't accept a gift card, but they could accept a t-shirt or a water bottle or something like that. And at TargetX, we also did it as part of a trade show booth, or at our actual in-person event, which seems like a lifetime ago, where we just set up a laptop, and it was, if you left a review, we gave you a coffee tumbler, which on our end was cheaper than even a gift card, but people saw other people walking around with that travel coffee mug and they really wanted one. So they came and left a review. So it's like sort of incentivized, but people, I think, are able to accept like a low level swag in a different way than they could a gift card. So.
Great question. There's another question. Fizza, what kind of database is available on G2 that you can use for upcoming campaigns? I would like a little more context to that question. If you could clarify in the chat or come off mute, I'd be happy to see if we can field that one for you. Any other questions while we wait for some more context on that one?
I guess I'd love to know from the audience, and maybe we'll do just use the hand raise. How many of you have a profile on G2? And you're looking to optimize it versus, and then we'll ask this one, who does not yet have a profile, but you're looking to set one up? So we'll start first. Do you have a profile currently on G2 that you help manage? All right. Seems like the bulk of the group. Cool. Oh, wow. Okay. So pretty much everyone. That's awesome. I would say definitely then, lean on your account team, or if you have other questions, Lauren and I are super happy to help, and I'll drop my email in the chat. And Lauren, if you want to do the same.
I will. And I would also say, if you are a current G2 customer and you feel like your product profile needs a bit of a facelift, that's definitely something you can ask for a profile audit from your account rep. We have kind of a checklist that we can go through and look for, make sure that you have UTMs on those links, and make sure that you're using that tool called Track Your Prospects, because it's available on all packages, for all packages. And it's some really insightful information if if you set it up the right way. So talking through those opportunities of going above and beyond is definitely a great agenda item for you and your account reps to talk through in your next meeting.
Awesome. And from here, we, as we mentioned, have a lot of different resources for our customers. If you are interested in learning more, G2 University, I'll drop the link again. We have links to recordings from our previous office hours. We'll drop this recording up there as well. But there are also a lot of great courses just on getting started with G2 and then helping to maximize the impact it has. We also host these monthly office hours. As we mentioned a couple of times, next month's office hours are going to be about our partner hub. So we'll talk all about our different integrations. And then if you have any other questions or you want to learn more about upgrading your profile or what that might look like, or any of our other products, we always encourage you to either talk to your account team or request a demo. But thank you everyone for joining us today. This was a great conversation, and really looking forward to more of these sessions. If you have any questions, feel free to follow up with us. Or if you have ideas for future office hour topics that you'd like to see us cover, feel free to send those our way as well. But thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Take care.